Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The 1776 to 1976 half dollar is not just a coin. It's a time machine in metal. 2 dates, 2 centuries, 1 symbol of freedom. Hidden in its design is the story of revolution, Independence Hall, and the birth of a nation. But why did millions of Americans save it instead of spend it? The answer will surprise you. The half dollar dated 1776 to 1976 is more than a simple piece of American currency. It is a small metal witness to 200 years of history, struggle, independence, and national pride. When this coin was released, it was not meant only for buying goods or paying debts. It was created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the United States of America, a nation born from revolution and shaped by generations of dreams. Every line engraved on the coin, every letter and image, carries the weight of centuries. The story of this coin begins long before 1976. In 1776, the 13 colonies declared independence from Great Britain. That year became the heart of American identity. The bicentennial celebrations planned for 1976 were designed to remind citizens where the country started and how far it had traveled. The United States Mint decided that ordinary circulating coins could become ambassadors of history. The quarter, the half dollar, and the dollar were chosen to receive special bicentennial designs. Among them, the half dollar became one of the most beloved. The traditional half dollar for many years carried the portrait of President John F. Kennedy. After his tragic death in 1963, the nation honored him by placing his image on the half dollar in 1964. By the time the bicentennial approached, Kennedy's portrait had already become familiar to millions of Americans. The Mint chose to keep his face on the front, linking the modern era with the revolutionary past. The back of the coin, however, would be completely transformed. A national design competition was announced. Artists across the country were invited to imagine how the spirit of 1776 could be expressed on a modern coin. The winning design for the half dollar was created by Seth G. Huntington. His concept showed Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the very building where the Declaration of Independence was debated and signed. Above the building, he placed the words, 200 Years of Freedom, and around it the dual date, 1776 to 1976. This image turned the coin into a miniature monument. The Mint began striking these coins in 1975, even though they carried the date 1776 to 1976. For 2 full years, 1975 and 1976, no half dollars were produced with those individual dates. Every piece bore the bicentennial mark. This decision makes the series unique in American numismatics. Billions of coins were produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints so that every citizen could hold a piece of the celebration in their hands. Different versions were created. Ordinary circulation coins were struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, just like regular half dollars of the era. Collectors were offered special editions. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. There were also 40% silver-clad versions sold in special sets. These silver issues immediately attracted attention because they echoed to the front of the coin continues to show Kennedy facing left, surrounded by the familiar inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. The date below his neck is replaced by the dual years 1776 to 1976. His portrait connects the revolutionary message with the memory of a modern president who inspired a generation with words about freedom and service. The combination suggests that the American story is continuous, not frozen in the 18th century. The reverse design of Independence Hall is rich with symbolism. The building is shown with careful architectural detail, including the famous clock tower and the rows of windows. This hall was the birthplace of American democracy. By placing it on everyday money, the Mint reminded people that independence was not an abstract idea but a real event that happened in a real place. The phrase 200 Years of Freedom does not simply celebrate victory in a war. It celebrates 2 centuries of constitutional government. During the mid-1970s, the United States was passing through difficult times. The Vietnam War had ended, the Watergate scandal had shaken trust, and the economy faced inflation. The bicentennial coins therefore carried emotional importance. They offered a unifying symbol when the nation needed confidence. Many families saved the coins as souvenirs rather than spending them. Children born in that era often remember grandparents giving them shiny bicentennial halves as gifts. From a technical viewpoint, the coin measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter and weighs 11.34 grams in clad form. The edge is reeded with 150 small grooves. These features are the same as regular Kennedy half dollars. Yet the special reverse makes the coin instantly recognizable. The design had to fit within strict mint requirements, proving that art and engineering must work together in coinage. Collectors today study small differences between mint marks. Coins from Philadelphia originally had no mint mark, while Denver pieces carry a small D, and San Francisco proofs show an S. The quality of strike varies, and high-grade examples with full details on Independence Hall can be challenging to find. Error coins also exist, including double dies and off-center strikes, which add excitement to the series. The Bicentennial Half Dollar also reflects the broader history of the denomination. The half dollar was once a major workhorse of American commerce, used in banks, payrolls, and vending machines. By the 1970s, its everyday use was declining as smaller denominations took over. The commemorative design briefly returned attention to the coin and reminded people of its long tradition stretching back to the 1790s. Many Americans associate the 1776 to 1976 half dollar with personal memories. Some remember fireworks, parades, and school projects about colonial history. Others recall visiting Philadelphia and seeing Independence Hall in person, then comparing it with the image on the coin. Money rarely carries such emotional power, yet this piece succeeded because it connected private lives with national heritage. Internationally, the coin became a symbol of the United States abroad. Tourists carried it as a souvenir, and foreign collectors added it to albums as a representation of American bicentennial spirit. The clear architecture and English inscriptions made the message understandable even without deep knowledge of U.S. history. The production numbers were enormous, which means most examples are not rare in ordinary condition. However, scarcity is not the only measure of value. The true worth of this coin lies in its story. It teaches how a nation uses art to remember its origins. It shows how currency can become a classroom in metal, passing from hand to hand while silently telling the tale of independence. Over the decades, many coins have been lost, damaged, or melted, yet millions survive. Some remain bright and uncirculated in original mint sets. Others show wear from years in pockets and cash registers. Each scratch and mark becomes part of the object's personal journey, just as the country itself bears the marks of history. Numismatists often compare this coin with earlier commemoratives such as the 1892 Colombian half dollar or the 1926 sesquicentennial issues. The 1776 to 1976 piece differs because it was intended for mass circulation rather than limited sale. This democratic approach matched the very theme of the design: freedom shared by all citizens, not reserved for a few. The legacy of the coin continues into the present. Teachers use it to introduce students to the Revolutionary era. Hobbyists search rolls of old coins hoping to find high-grade examples. Online communities discuss subtle varieties and preservation methods. The coin has become a bridge between generations, linking those who lived through 1976 with young collectors discovering it today. Even the choice of Independence Hall carries layers of meaning. The building represents debate, disagreement, and eventual unity. The Declaration of Independence was not written in a single moment of harmony. It was the result of argument and compromise. By placing this image on the half dollar, the mint honored the democratic process itself. The phrase 200 years of freedom invites reflection on what freedom means. For some it is political independence, for others the ability to speak, worship, or dream without fear. The coin does not define freedom. It simply celebrates its endurance. Holding the coin encourages the holder to think about personal responsibility to protect those ideals. In the marketplace today, silver versions of the coin carry bullion value in addition to collectible interest. Proof sets with deep cameo contrast are especially admired. Yet even common circulated pieces remain popular because they are affordable gateways into the hobby. A child can begin a collection with a single bicentennial half dollar found in change. The artistic style of Huntington's reverse belongs to the 1970s, a period that balanced realism with clean modern lines. The building is not overly ornate, allowing the message to be read at a glance. Coins must communicate quickly, and this design succeeds even when worn. The decision to keep Kennedy on the obverse also carried emotional resonance. He had spoken often about the meaning of the American Revolution, and many felt he would have appreciated the bicentennial celebration. Thus, the coin unites two eras of American idealism, the founding generation and the hopeful 1960s. As years pass, the 1776 to 1976 half dollar becomes a time capsule. Future historians will study it to understand how Americans of the 1970s viewed their past. Coins survive wars, disasters, and political changes better than paper records. This small disc of metal may outlive buildings and monuments. The process of minting the coins was itself a national effort. Designers, engravers, machinists, and quality inspectors all contributed. Each coin passed through powerful presses that struck the design with tons of pressure, yet the final product fits comfortably in a pocket. Such contrast between industrial force and everyday simplicity is part of the magic of coinage. For many collectors, the thrill lies in imagining where a particular coin has traveled. Perhaps it paid for a bus ride, rested in a child's piggy bank, or crossed oceans in a traveler's wallet. The bicentennial message accompanied all those journeys, silently repeating the story of independence. The coin also reminds us that history is not distant. Only 200 years separated the revolution from 1976, and now another half-century has already passed since the coin was issued. Each generation receives the torch of memory and must decide how to carry it forward. In museums, the 1776 to 1976 half dollar is displayed alongside original colonial artifacts, showing continuity between past and present. In ordinary homes, it sits in drawers and albums, equally meaningful. The power of the coin does not depend on expensive rarity but on shared recognition. The half-dollar denomination itself has experienced many design changes, from flowing hair to seated liberty, Barber, walking liberty, Franklin, and Kennedy. The bicentennial reverse is a special chapter in that long book. It proves that even familiar money can be reinvented to speak a new message. When light strikes a proof version, the image of Independence Hall appears almost three-dimensional. Windows glow like tiny mirrors, and the tower rises proudly. Such beauty encourages respect for the craft of engraving, a skill that blends art with national symbolism. Some critics in the 1970s worried that altering circulating coin designs might cause confusion. Instead, the public embraced the change. The coins quickly became favorites, and many people wished the design could remain longer. After 1976, the mint returned to the standard Kennedy reverse, making the bicentennial type a closed chapter. Today, decades later, the coin continues to circulate occasionally, surprising those who receive it in change. Each unexpected appearance feels like a message from history. Younger generations ask why the date shows 2 years, opening conversations about the revolution and the bicentennial celebrations. The half-dollar 1776 to 1976 stands as evidence that money can carry soul. It is not merely a tool of commerce but a storyteller made of copper, nickel, and sometimes silver. Through its images, the United States spoke to its citizens, reminding them of beginnings and inviting them to imagine the next 200 years. And so the coin endures, passed from hand to hand, studied by collectors, cherished by patriots, and discovered by new enthusiasts. Its metal may be ordinary, yet its meaning is extraordinary. The bicentennial half-dollar remains a shining witness to the journey of a nation from 1776 to 1976 and beyond.